Hello guys, very glad that all you are here. I'm Neeraj Devbankar from Career Care, and today mainly we are going to talk about IELTS writing task 2 or essay writing that's there on IELTS. Mainly the agenda for today is going to be why are you stuck on 6 or 6.5 bands on IELTS writing task, specifically the writing section. And in this, I'm going to cover mainly, or I'm going to mainly focus on the essay writing. As we all know, that's the most important thing or most important task on your IELTS essay writing section. After that, we are also going to look at how to analyze your essay, or how should you actually read a particular essay, how should you read a particular task, and then how can you solve or write a good essay on that particular task. Then we are also going to look at why is brainstorming necessary. I mean, we hear a lot of complaints from many students that while writing essay they find it really difficult to focus on taking points. I mean, they say that okay, if I start taking notes I waste a lot of time in that, and most of the students rather prefer just writing the essay right from the word go. And we are going to discuss mainly why is it not that great strategy right now. After that, we are also going to look at how to brainstorm within the essay and still, write a good essay after that. And lastly, we are going to also discuss how can you, write an essay very well in a computer delivered test. Okay, so computer delivered test is very essential to understand and to practice right now, because at least in India, in most of the cities you cannot give paper based test, and we have no idea till what time or from when you will be able to actually appear for IELTS paper based tests. The chances are you will have to go for computer delivered tests in India if you want to give tests at earliest. So it's always better to be ready, specifically when it comes to writing section, to be ready with the strategy to write a good essay even in computer delivered test. Obviously you will have to adjust your writing style a bit if you have already practiced for paper based test, but then we are going to look into those things as well. All right. Okay, so let's begin with today's section. The first, we are first going to look at why people cannot score 7 bands, or what are the main difficulties that they encounter when they want to score 7 bands. Most of the students, we see that they are stuck at around 6 or 6.5 bands, even though they feel they have prepared really hard. Okay, so the first reason that we find usually is that people just jump into the task. They don't have patience to read and analyze exactly what the task is about. So what happens is, when you directly jump onto a particular task and when you want to write a really impressive introduction, is that you miss what exactly are you going to write about. Now let me give you an example. All right, let me give you an example over here. The most important example, I mean, just this is one of the examples that we have recently taken in our classroom. While there are some advantages of the group study, one must focus on self-study. Okay, all right. So while there are some advantages of the group study, one must focus on self-study. This is one of the tasks for essay writing that's given to you. Now, most of the people believe, oh, I need to tell whether students should prefer group study or should they prefer the self-study. Now the point over here is, understand, this particular task could be presented by IELTS. I mean, IELTS may give this task in variety of ways, and they do actually try to deceive you over here. Most of the people believe this, that this is the task and they read only this much. But what they fail to realize is after this particular task, after this particular sentence, there will be one more sentence or one more instruction which would say what are the advantages and disadvantages of self-study. Okay, so here Pranati has put in her comments what is the exact task that I am talking about. You can look at the comments and try to understand, the main point of discussion over here. Now, the main point of discussion is, if you just look at the first sentence in the essay, while there are some advantages of the group study, one must focus on self-study. If you just consider this much, you may think that essay demands that you write about group study versus self-study and what I prefer in this case. But if you read the next sentence, it says what are the advantages and disadvantages of self-study. So mainly the focus of this essay is not the group study but only the self-study, because the instruction asks you to write advantages and disadvantages of self-study. Now in this essay, if you focus on group study as well, or if you write substantial amount on group study as well, you are going to face issues, because that is not what IELTS examiner expects from your essay. What the IELTS examiner expects is very simple: the advantages and disadvantages, and that is it. The advantages and disadvantages of self-study, and that is it. The person doesn't expect more than that. Now if you write about even the group study, you may not score well on IELTS essay, because you have written something extra and something which was not asked in the actual essay. So it's really important to realize that what am I exactly asked to do and what am I supposed to write about. Okay, so we have seen many people actually having issues when they are dealing with this particular, or they are dealing with IELTS writing task 2. After that, what we observe, one of the main reasons why people cannot score well on IELTS writing task 2 or essay writing is that they cannot give appropriate examples. What do you mean by appropriate examples? See, IELTS asks you to give relevant examples from your knowledge or experience. But the problem is, many students see this as an opportunity to just inject some words, and they write such a lengthy example that it becomes a headache for IELTS examiner to look for or to check your essay for that matter, or to evaluate your essay for that matter. Now let's say you are asked to write about an essay which says whether watching TV is good or bad for children. Watching TV is good or bad for children is simply asked to you. I mean, overall the essay has or asks you to write about this particular topic. Now I'll read out one of the examples that some students give. It's something like this: in the summer holidays during school time, I used to visit my aunt's house. I was friends with a few local boys my age. We used to love watching Spider-Man. However, after a few days, we were not allowed to watch the program as one of the boys jumped from the first floor of the building in the hope that Spider-Man will help him. Now in this example, although the point could be accepted that yes, it is a disadvantage or it is a problem of children watching too much TV. Watching too much TV or watching TV could be bad for children, and this is one of the examples of that particular thing. Now the problem in this case is, why do you need to talk about in summer holidays during school time? I mean, come to the point directly. Don't go round and round while you are giving your examples. Okay, so rather than that, you could simply write, one of my neighbor's son jumped from the first floor of the building in the hope that his favorite superheroes Spider-Man will save him only to find a hospital bed later. It can be as simple as that. This is just one example from, you could say, example from experience, and that is it. You just finish writing example there itself. So writing inappropriate examples just to fill in number of words is one of the main reasons most of the students find it difficult to score well on IELTS. All right. Okay. Now the next reason why people may find it really difficult, to score well on IELTS is the fact that the flow of ideas in their piece of writing is a bit of an issue, is a big issue rather. Most of the students cannot maintain the right flow of ideas. For example, now this example I have taken specifically from one of the letters written by our students, and the reason I have taken it because it's a very simple letter which we write, which we might write in everyday life. So let's say you and your wife went to a restaurant and you want to thank the manager over there after coming from that restaurant, and you are writing a thank you note, or you are writing a letter to just thank that person. In that case, the students write, me and my wife visited your restaurant on our marriage anniversary. The staff is polite, the ambience of the restaurant is awesome. We danced a lot and enjoyed a lot of mocktails. We had delicious food. Also, the chef suggested some awesome cuisines. Lastly, the poolside table was great. Thanks for giving the best memories. Now, this particular piece of writing may seem fine because the grammar is all right. There's no problem in grammar. There is also decent vocabulary, but yeah, there are a few problems, although but those are minor ones. I mean, they are not changing the meaning of the sentences. So okay, you might think that okay, this example is not that bad, this piece of writing, but then think again. The problem over here is uh, we visited your restaurant on marriage anniversary. Actually, marriage anniversary is not even a word. The word is wedding anniversary. Okay, so if you are thinking about this part, like if you just thinking that okay, my marriage anniversary is known to everyone. No, you need to specify which day. If you can't specify that much, how will I understand when you exactly visited my restaurant? If I'm in the place, or if I'm in the shoes of the restaurant manager and reading your letter, it's pretty confusing for me in that case. Okay. After that, we danced a lot and enjoyed a lot of mocktails. I mean, who dances and drinks at the same time? I mean, it's really confusing for me. And immediately after that, we had delicious food. There has to be a logical linking, there has to be logical linking. Instead of that, consider this example. I and my wife visited your restaurant last Sunday, 19th July, to celebrate our 10th wedding anniversary. Your staff welcomed us warmly and offered us a short tour of the property. Initially, we settled on the dance floor, where we had a few mocktails in between. After about an hour, we shifted on our poolside table, where the head chef suggested delicious cuisines. I must say, I have never had tasted such a heavenly preparation. Overall, your staff is polite and the ambience of the place is very romantic, thanking you for the memories. Now, you look at this particular task or this particular example. The amount of information in the previous one and this one is almost same. But the problem is, or rather the good part is not the problem, but the good part in this particular case is you can actually visualize what the author has written in this case. And when you visualize what the author has written, it becomes very easy to understand and follow what the intention of the author is. Okay, the author clearly mentions the day of the celebration, what exactly happened when they visited the restaurant, or when they went to the restaurant. I mean, the author and his wife or her spouse, or his or her spouse, whatever the case is. And then the author says, initially we settled on the dance floor, which is quite logical, and had few mocktails in between. Okay, so there is a natural flow of ideas because the author wants to talk about the exact events, the flow of events, and flow of events naturally become flow of ideas. And when I read this, I can actually visualize, okay, this is what happened on that particular day, and that helps me to establish good flow of ideas. Most of the students don't have this in their writing section or their piece of writing. All right, and the last reason why most of the people fail on IELTS writing section is that they use heavy words unnecessarily. I mean, understand, you don't need to use heavy words unnecessarily. Okay, ask yourself whether you are targeting to get into Canada, whether you are targeting to get into Australia, and for that you are appearing for IELTS. Ask yourself, are they looking for next Shakespeare, or are they looking for a good engineer, good lawyer, good doctor, or good management person? They are looking for regular people who can communicate in English. You don't need to be talking dictionary. I mean, if you know heavy words, go ahead, use them, and if you know how to use them, nothing like it. But if you are not able to use a particular word and still you try to inject that word just to impress the examiner, chances are you are going to miss the whole point. I mean, you may misuse that particular word. Whatever you want to say could be something very, very different from what you actually wanted to say. Okay, so that is again a problem. So avoid using heavy words unless and until you know what they mean. If you don't know what they mean, definitely avoid using these heavy words unnecessarily. All right, these are the main reasons why people cannot score well on IELTS. Okay, so let's talk about essay writing in a bit more detail. All right, so many students, specifically in India, when we go through Facebook or YouTube content, we find that most of the students think that I have to have really good grammar to crack IELTS, and I also need to have really good vocabulary. But understand, there are two more things that we have in a way already talked about. You need to score well on IELTS, and those are task response and coherence and cohesion. And when we talked about mainly understanding all the aspects of essay writing and giving good examples or giving appropriate examples, what we talked about was task response, that we have already, that is the main criteria that IELTS says we are going to check your essays on. All right, and the second thing is coherence and cohesion, or second evaluation criteria that IELTS says that we are going to look at when we are going to check your essays. That criteria corresponds to the flow of ideas that you have, and if you don't have these things when you are writing an essay, you are going to suffer while you are writing, or your evaluation are not going to be up to the mark or what you expected. All right, now let me take few FAQs over here that students usually ask. The first question that students usually ask is, do these examiners really count the number of words? Yes, they do. Yes, they do count those number of words, and it's their job. Okay, but the thing is, understand, most of the examiners, after checking so many essays, can actually predict just by looking at your piece of writing how many words have you written. So if you have not written 250 words, or if you have written less than that, they will know that how many words you have written, and they'll just know it, and in case they doubt it, they will go word by word over there. Because understand, or if you look at IELTS answer sheet specifically for writing section, each examiner must report the number of words in your letters, in your reports, in your essays. And if you have not written the required number of words, they are supposed to cut your marks, or in this case bans. So you must understand that examiners are going to count the number of words. And does my handwriting matter? The next question. Yes, it matters only if, okay, it is illegible. That means if as an examiner I cannot read your handwriting, I am going to cut your marks, and there is a space for that as well. If your handwriting is so bad that I cannot read, it is illegible, I can cut your marks. I can penalize you for that. But as long as your handwriting is understandable, don't worry about it. Just go ahead and write. Okay. So most of the things you might have noticed that most of the things that we are talking about are mainly paper-based tests. We are going to come at a computer-based test probably by the end of this particular session. And the next thing that I want to talk about is importance of brainstorming. Why is brainstorming so important? All right. So understand, very, very essential thing when you come to essay writing is the planning phase, or what we call as brainstorming. Unless and until you think what you are going to write about, how will you be able to write about it? So thinking or planning or brainstorming is really, really essential, because that's where you actually write the essay. Understand this part. Unless and until you know what you're going to write in your essay, how can you go ahead and write the essay? So always take notes, always brainstorm before you write any essay. Okay, so consider this. I'll paint a picture for you. Consider this, whether this sounds familiar to you or not. In school time, we have all written many essays in our language paper. Most of us studied in the English medium, so we had to write an essay or a composition in last 20 minutes of that particular paper. And what happened at that point of time was, we looked at the topic. The teacher had told us that your introductions must be very impressive. Okay, so we thought and what can I write about this particular thing, and how can I make this really, really attractive introduction, or how can I write an attractive introduction? And you waste a lot of time as if you're waiting for some divine inspiration, and that becomes an issue, because you waste 10 to 15 minutes out of 20 just thinking about introduction. And in last 5 or 10 minutes, you start writing ferociously whatever comes to your mind, and then we wonder what happened. And I'll tell you, similar is the case when it comes to IELTS for most of the students. Most of the students just know this particular thing, that okay, my language has to be really great, my words have to be really great, and I just need to write good essay. The sentences should seem like they are very matured sentences. The examples must seem like matured, but what do they mean by that? We have no idea. So we wait and wait to have correct sentences, to have really great ideas, and at the last moment when we are writing, we realize, in first 20 minutes we have just finished the introduction, and I have to write the whole essay now. And we write again something, and we just mess the whole thing up. So understand, it's really important that you think first. You spend some time on brainstorming what you're going to write about in IELTS. Now the next question is that most of the students ask is, we cannot write our essays right now, and you are asking us to add brainstorming process in our writing section. I mean, if we can't write it, if we cannot complete the essay right now in the given time, how will we be able to complete the essay when we brainstorm or when we plan beforehand? won't it be waste of time because we'll have to give additional time for it? Understand one simple thing. You are supposed to write 250 words overall in the essay. You are supposed to write 250 words. Let's say you write about 270 words for just for general purpose, just for consideration. Now, if I ask you, if you know what to write, if I ask you, now you know what to write, what material to write in your essay, and can I expect that you can write about 10 words in 1 minute? Can you write 10 words in 1 minute? Most of students are going to say, obviously. If I know what to write, I can definitely write 10 words in 1 minute. Now, understand, if I ask you, can you write 250 words in 25 minutes or 270 words in 27 minutes? It should be possible, but only when I know already what to write. So let's say if you can write the whole essay, that is about 250 to 270 words in about 25 to 27 minutes, can you actually invest about 7 to 8 minutes in brainstorming? Absolutely. Okay, so Vivek is asking over here, how to improve idea building. See, Vivek, one of the major things to realize when you are building ideas is to realize that cause and effect is the important building block of writing any idea. For example, if you are writing, I'll go back to the essay that we considered at the beginning of this particular session, whether watching TV is good or bad for children. Now, if you want to build, if you want to say watching TV is bad for children, if you want to tell that, and if you want to prove that, and if you want to build ideas on that, you need to ask yourself, what will happen if I watch TV, or if children watch TV, or why should they not watch TV? That is the first thing, because we are talking about bad things that may happen. Okay, so why is mainly the basis of cause. Okay, so you might think, okay, why should they not watch TV? The reason could be that they get very much affected by the content that they see on TV, or you could say that TV has a lot of foul language nowadays. There are many programs which children are not supposed to watch, but we can't control it because parents are working outside. Okay, so whenever you think about cause, the reason, you start getting the first ideas about what to write, and whatever points come to your mind, just note them on the paper. Specifically when you are starting at the beginning, you should note them on the paper, and unless and until you note them on the paper, you won't realize whether my ideas are correct or incorrect. You just can't keep them in your mind. Okay, and then think about effect. What will happen? See, let's develop this point. Now, if children watch television, they will be exposed to foul language. Simple. Okay, simple idea. I may have many others, but I have chosen to explain this one. Next thing you ask is, what if they are exposed to foul language? So cause is done already. Now I'm asking about the effect. What is the effect of watching that foul language? The effect could be that they may try to copy that particular thing. They may start using foul language in their daily life when they're dealing with their parents, when they're dealing with the teachers, and they may think that, oh, this is all right. So as a result, the children become rude. So see, when I'm thinking about anything, all right, there are two things, two aspects I must realize: cause and effect. Unless and until I have cause, I cannot build the effect. Second thing that you need to realize, which I have not talked about and I'm talking right now, is that when I'm thinking about this cause and effect to prove anything that I have, I should not be afraid of expressing what I feel like. What I see for most of the students is, unfortunately, most of the students think my ideas are not that impressive. How can I write this? This seems so simple. I want to wait for something really great. Now, again, as I said, are you Shakespeare? You are not, right? You just need to realize this, that whatever idea comes to my mind, however simple it is, I just need to write it. However simple it is, I just need to write it and try and express it in my own words. And when you follow this particular thing, I think you'll be able to build really, really good ideas. So how should you rather plan your timing on the essay writing? Understand, one of the best ways to, write an essay, or, actually execute the writing process in the essay, is that, you divide the task. You divide the whole essay task into simple, achievable, smaller tasks. So what are the main things that you need to write on IELTS writing task 2 or essay writing? What are the most important things? You need to have an introduction, you need to have body paragraphs, and you need to have an end paragraph. And lastly, you need to review these things, whatever you have written. Am I right? So let's say these are the, I'm sorry, 4 main tasks that you need to have, right? Or 4 simple steps or stages you need to go through to write a good essay. What are those? Writing introductions, writing body paragraphs, writing an end paragraph, and reviewing your work. All right. So the first stage, stage 1, writing introduction. If you just focus on this stage at the beginning rather than worrying about, oh, what points I'm going to write, what examples am I going to write. If you focus on just the introduction, it is going to help you a lot, and you can actually finish off with the introduction within first 5 minutes. All right. Then in the next 25 minutes, probably you can just focus on writing body paragraphs. How to write body paragraphs? I've just explained, we just talked about idea building, or we just also talked about the essay, example writing at the beginning. So mainly you need good ideas and examples to write these body paragraphs, and you can take about 25 minutes. So, you can write about 180 to 200 words in your body paragraphs, and those are more than enough, because you are going to need some, 30-40 words in introduction and another 30-40 words in your end paragraph as well. Okay, so first write the introduction in 5 minutes, then write your body paragraphs in 25 minutes, and then you need to write the end paragraph in last 5 minutes. And still then you will be left with about 5 minutes. And in those last 5 minutes, you should try and read and edit your essay again. Because unless and until you edit your essay, it's going to be a big mess. All right? Okay. Now, last thing of this session that I want to talk about, and then you can ask questions. You can ask questions in between as well, but whatever questions you may have at the end, you can ask at that point of time. The last thing that I want to talk about is how do you tackle with writing task 2 in the computer delivered test. Now what happens in computer delivered test is you need to type your essay, okay, and many working professionals are really happy, students are really terrified when it comes to computer delivered test. Because for working professionals, they have not written with their hands for a long time, and the students are giving so many exams in their colleges using pen and pencil that they feel naturally very comfortable with paper-based test. So understand, in computer delivered test, you might be forced to give computer delivered test at least for next couple of months, because IELTS is not conducted in most of the parts of India. Specifically, the paper-based test is not there. So in computer-based test, when it comes to essay writing, what you need to realize is you can actually have an advantage when it comes to cutting and pasting your essays. In paper-based test, you cannot cut or paste, right? So in computer delivered test, you can cut and paste whatever you're writing. And also the computer delivered test center will also give you, in addition, papers to take notes, and that confuses students. Should I take notes on the paper, or how should I, go about this business? So my suggestion is don't go, don't take any notes on the paper that you are provided, the rough sheets that you are provided. Rather, take notes directly on the computer. Take notes directly on the computer. Okay. So when you take notes directly on the computer, like for example, if you want to build an idea, you can simply, as we discussed, you need to have cause and you need to have an effect. So you can just put the cause at the beginning, and then you can put the effect after that. And after that, you can put an examples also. So you don't need to even, develop those cause and effect full-fledged. You can just type in what otherwise you would write in the notes. That's it. For example, you could simply write, children watch programs with foul languages. That's it. You don't need to write more than that. And in effect, you could say that they also start using foul language. Simply that much. But when you write this, then you see what, and then after that you write an example as well. So when you write this, you realize how my ideas are connected with each other. And when you realize that, it's very easy to develop that point and write it over then and there. In fact, you can use the words used in your notes, or words in your notes, you can use them to develop your sentence. So you save time when you type your notes or your ideas on the computer, and your idea or what you have to write becomes even more clear to you in your head. And that's how, in my opinion, you should always approach computer delivered test.